Welcome to Hide and Seek TV. I've been asked to do this video for a minute. I'm about to tap into this storyline and break down a lot of this blasphemy and symbolism. I've been watching the show, obviously for a while since it first came out, the All American. So it's like, it's so deep, y'all, like how much blasphemy is in this show. And it's obviously the agenda that they push anyway. You know what I mean? But when you understand it, hint the whole theme of the All American, notice how you see the holy doves and notice how you see everything scribed on a stone wall, because as it's written in Revelation 3:12, that we obviously be a pillar, a stone that helps build the kingdom of heaven, for the work for our labors on earth. So just notice how you see the holy dove. You know what I mean? This stuff is deep. It's all blasphemy, but I'm going to tap into this right quick. So I'm going to play a clip and chime on in. Listen to this.
Shout code words. Like, because of Obama, voting should be joy.
Like, because of Obama, voting should be joy. Pay attention to this.
If voting's joy, then tats are pain.
If voting is joy, tats are pain. So this is Spencer, Coop, and Sean, but I'm gonna get into it right quick. So you hear how he said because of Obama, voting should be joy, and then she said, for if voting is joy, then tats are pain. So let's get into that, because I broke down Obama a million times. You can go check out my videos if you haven't on my channel. I might put some in the link below. I'm actually gonna I'll put one in the link below in the comment section. So notice how he said that vote for Obama should be joy, and she said if voting is joy, then tats are pain. So as it's written, thou shalt in any wise set him a king over thee, whom the Lord thy God choose, one from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. That you should not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. You feel what I'm saying? So you hint the whole thing with the whole theme of Obama. Well, you know about Israel. And when you understand the whole theme of Israel, and you know about obviously the nations that were among Israel who were their enemies, you get where I'm going with this. Now I get into that later on with Obama. But hear how she said, voting joys, then tats are pain. Because remember, as it's written, and the first went and poured out his violence upon the earth, and there fell noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. So hint, if voting is joy, tats are pain. Worship the beast. Hint the weekend with the broken nose and the damaged bruised face. Because those who worship the beast had the scars. You feel what I'm saying? Listen to this.
What's this y'all doing? Since we'll be so high up in the air, skydiving should be sunshine.
So high up in the air, skydiving should be sunshine. So that all represents, being a part of the agenda and, do what thou wilt. You should be able to, how Satan says, cast yourself down, believe in yourself, fly, the sky's the limit. So notice how they connected all of that, man. They got kids doing this. Sick, And let's keep this thing rolling, because, Daniel Ezra is obviously from Birmingham out in England. He's from Birmingham. And what's so amazing is when you understand the name Ezra anyway, the name Ezra, remember in the scriptures, Ezra was what? He was the priest. Remember that, who helped, bring the Torah back among Israel, who escaped Babylon. Obviously it's all whitewashed, but you get where I'm going with this. This stuff is that deep. You know what I mean? Helping Israel overcome, coming back into the laws of God, prophesying of the Messiah coming forth. You know what I'm saying? Hint in that time. So hint, I want to get into this because notice how he's from England, and your boy Iris is Franklin Saint on Snowfall. I need to do this show too as well, but Franklin Saint, he's from England as well. And notice how both of these guys come from England and are the main roles in California. They both are the main roles. And it's deep, because when you understand California, if you look at California, look at how it's shaped. It's shaped like an arm. You feel what I'm saying? Like, notice that. So let's get deep into this, because as it's written in Acts 13:17, the God of this people of Israel chose our fathers and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt, and with an high arm brought he them out of it. You see that? Brought he them out of it with the high arm. That's why you see how California, all Cali mean anyway is death. You know what I'm saying? But that's why they had to establish Hollywood there to the high level blasphemy, because you know how California is obviously in the desert, and like hint Jerusalem, in the desert, hint the holy altars in Egypt, like I've been breaking this down for a while now, in the desert. You know what I'm saying? So it's all in our face. Everything comes together, man, and there's no way around it. Just notice that. Notice how right above California you got Olympia, Washington, which is nothing but like blasphemy. Mount Olympia is nothing but blasphemy of Mount Zion. And then notice how you got Salem right above that, because Salem don't represent nothing but Jerusalem, Zion, the holy city. So like I said, the high arm. And you see how Cali is shaped like an arm, and then how you got it right by Olympia, and then Salem, Oregon. You know, like it's all in our face. As it's written, let's get deep into this. Behold, the Lord God will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd, and he shall gather the lambs with his arms. Hint the lambs. Hint the shepherd. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are young. So hint the whole theme of the children of God with the high arm. That's why they had to have Hollywood established there. All blasphemy. But like I said, the Ezra, and then how he's from England. I remember I said homeboy Franklin Saint is from England. I notice how they mastered the California dialect. Because when you understand England, which is so deep, is because England was created by the Anglo-Saxons. And when you understand the Anglo-Saxon, all they were was nothing but the tribe of Ephraim in the scriptures of the 12 tribes of Israel. And when you understand the tribe of Ephraim, remember, as it's written in scripture, that Judah is the rod and Ephraim is the head. Remember that. And remember in the scriptures, Ephraim, aka Joshua, was from the tribe of Ephraim, and he led Israel into the promised land after Moses' death. Remember that. That's why you had to have the Black Jesus TV show out there, and based in California. It was created by Aaron, which was nothing but Moses' brother, and it was created by Michael as well, which don't mean nothing but one like God. Like this stuff is all in our face. The guy who made the Boondocks literally made Black Jesus, Aaron McGruder. And when you understand the Boondocks, hint the whole theme of the Boondock, the dock. You know how remember I just showed y'all like California with the arm. And you remember, and it's right by the water. Hint the boondocking. Even though that was based in Chicago, but I'm just saying, like the docks represents like being prepared to enter into the Ark of the Covenant, enter into the Ark of God, and enter into the new kingdom. That's all that represented. So it was no mistake he did that. That's why they had Lucifer based out in California as well, the TV show. I need to do this. I had someone request this. I need to get on this ASAP as well. There's a lot of wisdom in these shows, man. But you see, you got your boy, the guy who plays Lucifer, how they had to have the show based in California, because that all goes back to what I was talking about. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. Because for as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So that's why they had to have Black Jesus and Lucifer there at the same time. Because it represents nothing but Messiah, shining from the east unto the west. And Lucifer is just within the desert, deceiving the people. This stuff is deep, but I want to get deeper into this. I'm gonna tap into the people who are familiar with the show. Remember Tyrone, who ended up, he killed Sean and all of that. I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but just pay attention to this. Remember Tyrone had got gunned down by Sean and Brandon's mother. And remember, her name was Ruth Scott. And I'm going to get deep on this. Remember, she was the one who took Sean out. Because when you understand how she lost both of her sons, let's get deep into this. Because this is very deep, because in the book of Ruth in the scriptures, Ruth, you remember she was with Naomi in the scriptures. She was like, Naomi helped lead her into the God of Israel. Remember, Ruth was a Moabite, and you remember Naomi helped lead her into the God of Israel. Remember, Naomi had two sons, Mahlon and Chilion, and they both died. Remember that. They both died in the scriptures. Notice how Ruth lost both of her sons, Sean and Brandon, just like in the scriptures. And remember, Tyrone was the one to take them out. Like, none of this is by mistake. Like, this stuff is all in our face, yo. Look at this. I'm going to show y'all Sean. This is him. This is Sean, as the one with the green hoodie running away. And his brother, Brandon, on the right, the older guy with the black and red and white on. He's the one who had him doing, stealing and doing all kind of crazy stuff, But look at this.
What was regarding name?
Put this blood on my... This is Sean right here. You see Sean right there. And it's crazy because Sean ended up on a film called Safety. It's crazy because he actually died on episode 9. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy, man. He died on episode 9, season 1. And then he ends up wearing number 9 when he plays on a Disney movie called Safety. You see that? This stuff is crazy. And he ended up going to play for the Clemson Tigers. You know what I mean? Because all Clemson, the Clemson Tiger, all that stuff represents is nothing but it just represents like the eye of the tiger, Lion of Judah, all of that aspect. But I'm going to get deep on this right quick. Hint the 9/11, because as it's written in Revelation 9:11, remember that the pit of smoke unleashes. But at the same time, too, about the bottomless pit. But at the same time, too, the number 9 is obviously, when you're familiar with numerology, is what? Is nothing but completion. And then the number 11 is all coming to the power of the Son of Man. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into this right quick, because I'm going to show y'all this right here. This is crazy. Now, the guy that Spencer is about to injure, his name is Chris Jackson. Now, I'm going to explain this real quick, but notice this. Notice Spencer, he's going to injure him. He's going to damage his legs, like basically paralyze him. And I'm going to explain that. But Spencer wears number 11 and Chris wears number 9. Just like dude Sean, who got, killed on the show, he ended up wearing number 9, and the real man on the team who he played on the Clemson team wore number 11. But look at this. Notice Chris dodges number 20. You see that? How Chris dodged number 20. And when you understand the number 20, remember George Floyd, remember how they had that situation talking about, oh, it was a fake $20 bill. Because when you understand the presence of the number 20, the number 20 don't represent nothing but like the whole theme. It's an energy, like a satanic energy. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm going to play this right quick. Notice this. That's why they had to do that with George Floyd. But notice this. Notice number 11 paralyzes number 9. Spencer paralyzes Chris. And that's deep hint Christ. And he wore number 9. Remember I said the completion number is number 9. And when you look at it right here, which is crazy, is because Spencer James wears number 11. And number 11, remember as it's written, remember you had the 11 witnesses of the resurrection of the Messiah. Remember that? Out of the apostles, remember the disciples, you had the 11 witnesses. And hint this right here, which is crazy, because Spencer James plays, at the time he played for Beverly Hills Eagles. Remember, he played for the Beverly Eagles. And when you understand the Eagles, hint the Messiah, as it's written in Revelation 4:7, he is as the Lion of Judah, he is as the Son of Man, he is as the royal bull, and he is as the flying eagle. And this is deep, y'all, because notice how he injures Chris. You feel what I'm saying? I'm getting to that later on, but that is heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff. But anyway, he ends up hurting his legs. Remember, hint the whole theme of like how we, Messiah, goes through the crucifixion and he has to be uplifted to come back into power. That's why he had to have him paralyzed. Like, this stuff almost paralyzed. This stuff is crazy. But anyway, remember Spencer James, obviously he be dealing with, Olivia. And when you understand Olivia, hint the whole theme that all goes back to Israel. Remember the olive tree, as it's written, Israel is as an olive tree, wild by nature. You know what I mean? And you remember, obviously, if you know the character Olivia, she's basically dysfunctional and she's all over the place. She had the pill addiction. Hint the whole theme of the pills, all that represents is like corrupting the blood. Remember, as it's written, Messiah is as his blood is as our salvation. So hint the pills, because it all represents, going through the motions, going through everything of dealing with, the life cycles of departing from the faith and returning back. That's what her whole role is. It's crazy. But she was dealing with Chris too for a minute. I think that was like first season. She was dealing with Chris. Remember that. Hint Christ and Olivia together. So let's delve hint Christ and the olive tree. So remember, Olivia had got into it with remember her and Spencer was driving. This is proving my point. About Olivia with the olive tree and how Israel, the Messiah always has to mend for Israel. Hint the whole theme of how Olivia was in the car crash, and remember how she was drunk on the I think she said she was intoxicated. I'm gonna play it in a minute. But she was intoxicated and wanted Spencer to take the blame because she crashed the car. Hint the whole theme of the car crash. This is redundant. Car, all that comes from, like I said, always all it represents is all it means is kara, which don't mean nothing but Messiah being anointed. Hit Messiah carnate in the flesh. Word become flesh. So look at this.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, are you okay?
I think so.
You okay? Oh my god. No.
Listen, and get right to the point.
He's with me. I'm not gonna pass the sobriety test.
You see that? Like, come on, man. And the whole theme of being in the drunken state, man. You know what I mean? Being spiritually unclear. Anyway, Spencer name don't mean nothing but what? Like the servant, the butler, the one who serves. And as it's written in Nehemiah 1:11, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name and prosper. I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer. Hint the whole theme of being the butler, the one. Remember, Spencer always does service. If you know the show, he's always at service. Remember, I was already talking about it anyway. Daniel Ezra plays Spencer. Remember, I said Ezra was the priest who led Israel back into the Torah, into the understanding of the law. To continue, not to have to go through the captivities. But when you look at it anyway, it's just like Jimmy Butler. You know how it's the same stories every time, because this is based on a true story. All American was. I think the guy name was Spencer Paysinger, if I'm not mistaken, a New York Giant. But how Jimmy Butler got the same story. The foster family, you know what I mean? You go over to a city you ain't from, and then you rise up and become a megastar. It's all the same thing with Mike Tyson, man. With Cuss, remember that? And then the same thing with the movie The Blind Side. You know what I mean? Like, it's all the same story every time, y'all. Always the same doggone story. That's why these stories be fraud, man. Hint Jimmy Butler, like I said, the butler. And then look how he ended up playing against LeBron James in the finals. Hint the butler serves the king. Same thing with the Spencer James. I'm going to get into this deeper in this video. Let's get deep. Because remember, Spencer took a bullet for Olivia. Remember that he protected her from getting shot. And he got his arm injured where his arm was always numb. And this is proving my point. Remember, I was talking about that earlier with Spencer injuring Chris. Remember that. Christ with like being injured. You remember? So hence Spencer gets hurt. His arm, gets injured. It's just like King Kong. Remember, I broke this down how Godzilla don't represent nothing but Lucifer, Satan, the beast out the sea, the Antichrist, battling against Messiah, who becomes king with his axe. Hint, Messiah is the carpenter. So notice Spencer got the arm injured. Look at this. See how his arm get dislocated, King Kong's do? Because as it's written, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. That's why his arm had to be injured, because it represents us have to raise him up. Remember, Spencer James was going through a lot. Remember, he could barely play. He couldn't even open the refrigerator without dropping stuff because his arm was injured. Remember that. So I want to get deeper into this. Pay attention to this. Remember Spencer James. Remember Spencer James played for Beverly Hills Eagles. Remember I said Messiah is as the flying eagle in Revelation 4:7, and he is as the Son of Man. So hence the whole theme of how he went from playing for Beverly Hills Eagles, and then I'm gonna get into it later on. I want to show the more in depth, but notice how then he joined up with South Crenshaw High School, and he played for the Chargers. Hence, as it's written that Messiah. Remember I said it earlier how remember I was saying it earlier as it's written, for as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So hence the theme of the charging up, the South Crenshaw Chargers. He went from being an Eagle to a South Crenshaw Charger because as is, Crenshaw, when I broke this down with Nipsey Hussle, don't mean nothing but the crane. Hence, as it's written, remember I said we have to uplift Messiah and raise him up. Hence the injured arm. So we got to raise him up. This stuff is deep, y'all. High level blasphemy. You feel me? Hence why you see your boy Spencer James. This is a recent. I think it's episode 12. I forgot which episode I took this picture of, but on the last season, current season, notice how he got the crane right there on his shirt. You see that? Inside the oil. Hence Israel is as the oil that anoints Messiah, and hence the whole theme of the crane raising him up. Hence, as it's written, I'm going to get deep on this about Asher Adams because this is a high level one too. And when you understand the name Adams anyway, hint the Messiah is as the second Adam. You feel what I'm saying? And Asher Adams is played by Christian. Hint Christian plays Asher Adams. And he wears number 83. Because when you understand 83, all 83 deals with, it's like the ark of God. It deals with the holy face. The I am that I am, as it's written, the Most High told Moses in Exodus 3:14, I am that I am. And then it all deals with the bread of life, the number 83. So I'm going to get deep on this because Christian plays Asher Adams. And you remember he wears number 83. And remember Aaron was 83 when he went with Moses to challenge Pharaoh. So I hit the whole theme of that. Then you got your boy Asher. As it's written in scripture, remember that was the tribe of Israel. Remember, as it's written, Asher is most blessed of sons. Let him be favored by his brothers and let him dip his foot in oil. You feel what I mean? None of this is by mistake. Asher was favored. Hint was so deep is Asher Adams, his mother, she was getting married to a man named Jacob who owned the restaurant. Remember, obviously, Jacob was the father of Asher in the scriptures. Hint, you got the Saints logo right there. Come on, man. This stuff is not by mistake. Because as it's written, remember when Leah brought forth, Jacob's wife Leah conceived Asher. What did he say? He said, I'm going to name you Asher because you make me happy. You know what I mean? They would call me blessed because you make me happy, Asher. None of this is by mistake. None of it. Anyway, which is so deep, is how Billy Baker, this is deep, y'all. I'm about to tap. You've been watching my channel for a while now. You know where I'm about to take this. And for people who are not aware, I know this stuff is like it's cold, y'all. We gotta open our mind, hearts, and soul and receive wisdom because it's all in our face. As it's written, to observe the signs and the stars, man. And as it's written, Israel is as the star. We are as the stars of heaven. That was a curse that we'll become few in heaven as the stars. We will fall and be cursed, or we can be blessed and shine. You know what I mean? We are the light of the world. It's literal stars, and then it's the spiritual aspect of the light within us. So we got to observe these signs within the stars. So Billy Baker is the coach. He's the one who took Spencer James in. Remember, I said it earlier that I will be as it's written in Nehemiah, that I will be a cup, a cupbearer for the king. I will serve the king, the butler. Remember I said King James with Jimmy Butler, and then remember I was talking about this earlier about how Spencer don't mean nothing but to provide service. You feel what I'm saying? So when you look at it, Billy Butt Baker, which is so deep, is the name Billy, like I was just talking about. When you translate William, hint the will of I am that I am. Hint God said unto Moses, my name is I am that I am. So hint William, you know what I mean? Billy is short for William. You know what I'm saying? This is that deep. And I've done it a million times on my channel covering these names. So if you look at it right here, hint, he's the one who's the coach of Spencer. He takes him in and he leaves Beverly Hills. He leaves Beverly Hills because Billy used to play at Crenshaw. And now he's the coach of Crenshaw. And remember I already said that Messiah has to be risen up. Hint the crane, Crenshaw. You feel what I'm saying? They both come from the Eagles and join Crenshaw to be hint. Messiah goes from being the the beast aspect, like in a sense of Lion of Judah, Lamb of salvation, into becoming royal king. It's just all code name, all symbolism. But notice how he has to be his coach, and he took him in the house, and that's deep because hint Billy's father name is Willie Baker. Hint William is his father. And hint his grandchildren, Willie is his father. Hint William, the I am that I am. He's the father of Billy. They don't get along, and they didn't get along for a while because of this.
How I felt about your grandma Mary.
When his grandma, when Billy's mother was I think dying of cancer, if I'm not mistaken, and the father put her in a nursing home. That's why he was upset with him. But hint Mary was the wife of William. Come on, man, Mary, like come on, hint Virgin Mary was the wife of William. That was the mother of Billy. And then remember I said his grandchildren on the show obviously is Olivia Baker and then Jordan Baker. I'm gonna get into Jordan later on. But hint Jordan is like the crossing the Jordan River to enter into the promised land. And hint Olivia, the olive branch, the olive tree, Israel. This is not by mistake. Hint on the show, which is crazy, is because Spencer's mom name is Grace. This is that deep. Spencer's mom name is Grace, y'all. And when you understand grace, hint the grace of God. She cheated on Spencer's father, whose name was Corey, and all Corey means is God's peace. I'm gonna get into that later on. But she back in the day in high school, she got away from him and started dealing with Billy. Hint the grace, transferred. It goes into Billy. And then now she's dealing with D'Angelo Carter. And when you understand Carter, which is so deep, it's because remember I just said the name Kara. Kara derives out of Kara, which don't mean nothing but an anointed Messiah. And Billy used to bully D'Angelo Carter back in the day. They didn't like Carter did not like him. Carter had to go to boarding school and things of that nature. Hint the whole theme of Messiah. How he has to hint the whole theme of how he has to come, into the form, in a sense of the flesh. You know what I'm saying? In a sense of being in the flesh, and then have to tap into his kingship. So hint why he despised Billy, because he had to go to boarding school. Just notice how all of that stuff comes together. Have to come into the earth and then, be rejected. Hint I have nowhere to lay, because my people reject to let me dwell within them, in their hearts, in their minds, and in their souls. So notice how Carter did not like Billy. Like, this ain't my mistake. Billy represent Messiah in his form. That's why he's the coach. And then notice who his boss is. It's Carter, who's the principal. He's running the Crenshaw, the crane. Hint Messiah risen up into power, the principal. Like, this is not by mistake, and now he's dating Grace. Like, this is all in our face, y'all. Let's get deeper into this. I want to just keep talking. So your boy Spencer James, you know how he got the Toledo, was the only college to give him a full ride scholarship, Toledo State. Hint that Toledo State, their mascot is the Rocket Guy. Hint Messiah is caught up into the throne of God. Hint the whole theme of Spencer meaning to serve, be the king's cupbearer. King James, serve at the throne of God. Hint the Rocket Guy. You see how deep that goes? Toledo State. You know how they call Ohio? They say Ohio is shaped like a human heart. Look at this. This is crazy. Hint Ohio is shaped like a heart, because that's what Toledo is. Ohio is shaped like a heart. And then hint the Mount Sinai Peninsula. It looks like a heart. Let me get it right quick. It looks like a human heart. So hint the whole theme of serving the Most High in the true land. That's how deep this goes. The Rocket Guy. Hint your boy Spencer James, his father name is Corey. Remember his father died and he rejected him? Remember that? And remember he could have broke his dad record. It was a I forgot which episode that was, but he was about to break his dad record, but he said no, he didn't want to do that. I think he had 7 or 8 touchdowns, something like that. But remember he didn't want to break his dad's record. He said no, I'm not about to break his record. Because hint the whole theme of Corey, like I said, don't mean nothing but God's peace. And notice how he had to die. And then Grace ends up joining up with Carter. And she was with Billy, for a time. This is that real, man. Hint, when Corey left, when he left Spencer behind, remember he went to Arizona and he had Darnell. Which is deep because Darnell, hint the whole theme, Darnell don't mean nothing but what? The hidden nuke. The hidden nuke. You know what I'm saying? And all the nuke is, it don't mean nothing but it means like the corner, like a right angle, like a corner, And remember, as it's written, the stone which the builders refused has now become the headstone of the corner. Hint Messiah is the rock, the headstone. Remember, I was talking about them earlier with the stone wall, building the kingdom of heaven. So when you look at this, which is so deep, remember I said that nuke, Darnell don't mean nothing but the hidden nuke. That's why he had to go away. Remember, that's why he's not on there no more, because he had to go away because it's already been revealed who the headstone is. You feel what I'm saying? Hint the whole theme of how Spencer now is on Crenshaw. You feel what I'm saying? And he risen up. That's why on the show, Darnell, he wanted to live in America, but his mom wanted him to go back over to Europe and Germany. You know what I mean? Hint the whole, this stuff is that deep, y'all. It's crazy. I can go on for days. But like I said, his name don't mean nothing but hidden nuke, which is a stone. And remember I said the headstone which the Masons reject to use, the builders. Hint why the Illuminati pyramid don't have a headstone, but just an all-seeing eye to rebel. All in our face. Hint why Preach is on the show and he hangs out with Coop. He's her manager. And when you understand that with Preach, which is so crazy, is because guess what his name is? Cardell. Cardell. Hint Cara, man. Preach. Cara. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. This can't be real. He found out that he got a daughter. And his daughter was living in Philadelphia. And they said, she said, well, I don't want to tell mom, this is the mom right here. She said, I don't want to tell mom who you are because, she'll just send me back to Philadelphia. Hint Philadelphia, as it's written, into the angel of the church of Philadelphia. These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that have the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. Hint Messiah has the key through the church of Philadelphia. If you've been watching my channel, I broke down Kobe Bryant, how he's from Philly and the role he's playing. So you see how deep this goes. Preach. Come on, y'all. Notice the boy behind the door aspect. The only way out is together. Hint Messiah is the one behind the door who has the key to open the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, you can be scribed as a stone within the wall. It's that deep. It's that deep. Hint, Coop name anyway don't mean nothing but the barrel maker. And when you understand that, as it's written, the wheat and tares parable, when you understand the wheat, that represents the righteous, the tares represents the wicked. As it's written, let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of harvest, I would say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them. That represents the wicked going through the judgment day. But gather the wheat into my barn, my barrels. That represents the righteous being preserved and safe. Hint, Coop is the barrel maker. That's why she has to be with preach. You see how deep that go? Hint, patience. Even though you already know they're going to push this agenda. But hint, patience has to be with Coop. The barrel maker, patient till the day of harvest. To fulfill the new kingdom. Us being inscribed in the wall. Hint why I got pray for our city with the holy doves. Hint the new kingdom coming forth. Let's get deeper into this, man. Look at this.
Carrie, oh
Carrie. You see how Layla was with Carrie.
my god.
Hint Kara. Remember, I just broke that name down, y'all. Anointed Messiah.
When did you get released from the treatment center?
The treatment center. Hint the mental treatment center. Carrie was in a mental treatment center with Layla. And what's so deep about that is Carrie on the show, she was very clingy and she always told the truth about stuff. She always told the truth and it made people uncomfortable because hint Kara, the anointed Messiah, his tongue is as the mighty sword. He reveals truth and exposes the darkness. All things done in darkness should come to light. When you understand the girl who just hugged her, for people who don't know, Layla right here, her name don't mean nothing but the night. And she was actually in a mental treatment center with Carrie, because when you understand how, like I said, Carrie was very clingy. Remember, as it's written, the Most High says, I am a jealous God. Hint the clingy. I'm always by your side. I'm always with you. I never leave nor forsake you. Hint the mental treatment center, because it is written, I form the light and create darkness. Hint schizophrenia. Notice this right here. Come on, man. This is a schizophrenia pill commercial. Capilita. Real progress. Notice it says use caution before driving. Remember I was talking about the driving earlier about Messiah carnating in the flesh? Remember I said that? Come on, y'all. Look at this right here. I just showed y'all the car accident. Remember I just showed y'all this. There's no way around it. Remember I showed y'all this. Caution before driving. And the Capilita, remember I was talking about the whole theme of how Messiah is the headstone that the Masons reject to build with. The cap, the headstone. So notice how Kari came out the mental health center. Like, this stuff is deep, y'all. Hint this right here. They with Eagles, Beverly Hill Eagles was playing against the Rancho Lake. This is a game where Jordan was still injured and he couldn't play in the game, He couldn't play in the game. JJ was like the guy he's just a wide receiver. He had to be the one to take over the game and play quarterback. And they was playing against Beverly Hill Eagles was playing against the Rancho Lake. Hint the ranch people who work for the ranch, the builders, the Masons battling against the Eagles. Notice why the guy has number 44. Because 44, all that represents is the Ark of the Covenant. All that was practically saying was, we're overtaking your covenant. We're battling and we're going to prevent you from coming into power. This was all the game to decide who would make it to state championship to play against Crenshaw. The South Crenshaw against Spencer James and them. Against Spencer James and Billy Baker. It's that deep, y'all. It's that deep, you know what I'm saying? To see who is going to be the one to elevate and rate and rise up. Because the Rancho don't represent nothing but the Masons, the builders, battling against the Eagles. Messiah is as the eagle. Remember I already said that your boy Spencer James play for the Eagles. None of this is by mistake. Remember I said that. No mistake, y'all. It's that real. Hint this right here. This is deep, y'all. Pay attention to this. This is when Olivia had stole the cops footage and leaked out about a girl being taken out, by the police. And I think her name was Tamika Pratt. But they was trying to say, okay, they can drop the charges if the mother, right here, she steps down from being an DA. But just look at this.
By unannounced, but we've come to a decision about the Pratt case. After reviewing your team's findings, we're ready to move forward with the indictment of ex-officers Ben Miller and William Fall.
Hint Ben Miller, because all the Miller, remember I was talking about Coop don't mean nothing but the barrel maker. Remember I was talking about that earlier. All the Miller, all that all deals with farming as well, like the harvest of gathering up the wheat and tares. Remember I broke that down. And when you look at this, which is so deep, notice Ben Miller and William Falls was the cops they want to indict. Hint William Falls. William, remember I said the I am that I am. Hint Falls. You see how deep this goes? They was trying to expose the law of God and trying to indict him. That's all that really represented, man. They was trying to say, okay, he fell. We stay high, he stay low. Billy on the movie It. You can float too if you join me. Remember that. This stuff is that real, man. It's all about the Masonic rituals, all the Masonic codes. Hence why Simone and Jordan Baker had to get married on the show. Because all Simone, remember I said Jordan don't represent nothing but like the Jordan River crossing into the kingdom of heaven. That's why he had to be the grandson. Remember I said of William and Billy and be Billy's son and his sister Olivia, aka Israel, the olive tree. So all Simone means it don't mean nothing but to hear and to listen. And remember, as it's written, remember the marriage will happen between Israel where they cross into the new kingdom, enter into the new kingdom. Hence why those who hear my voice and know of my voice, my sheep who know of my voice, they follow me, and therefore the marriage happens. And therefore the new kingdom comes forth. Hence Jordan and Simone. All in our face. You feel me? But I'm actually going to end this right here. Thank you for watching Hide and Seek TV. Much more is coming. Peace.